Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with Season 6, Episode 38 of our weekly P&Q&C&A&T videos, or almost weekly, because we did skip last week.
We made up for it by having a gameplay video, but we did miss our normal weekly interaction.
Yeah, which was a little bit of a maybe worrying button to our episode before that we were considering.
Unintentional, totally unintentional.
Where the end of our content might be coming about. It was just a scheduling issue.
Exams.
Yeah, I've got 2 exams coming up. I've got an exam in neuroanatomy and cognitive neuroscience coming up. They're just midterms, and those, maybe make them sound a little bit scarier than they are, but they are still a little bit scary either way. Right. We should say what this is. The P&Q&C&A&T. It's a glorified Q&A video with a bunch of different letters in it, and we can go through all the letters today, I think, because we don't often. P is for podcast and Patreon and our patrons on that platform, right. Because we've released this in podcast format also, and we always like to give a little sort of thank you basically to our patrons for that, because the fiddling around with it and the putting it up on a new platform when we had no clue what that was going to look like, and also knew that we were going to lose ad revenue for anybody who decided to jump ship. It's the patrons who really made that worthwhile.
Right. We
also have Q for questions, because it's a glorified Q&A, so the A later on, not a little spoiler alert, the A stands for answers.
Yeah. And
then we've got our C and T, which are paired together, which is comments and talking, because not every comment is a question and not everything we say is an answer.
That's right. There's almost a balance here, right? The first few letters are the contributions of our viewers.
Yeah.
And the last 2 are our contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So sometimes we don't get a question and we can't answer anything, but we talk anyways. And sometimes we get a question and we still don't answer it that much and we just sort of talk about it. So that's just our way of encompassing everything, and we thought it would be funny and we kept adding letters.
Yeah.
And I think before we finish, I still want to find a way to sneak another letter in there, maybe. We'll see what we can do.
So since you mentioned it, this is as a follow-up to the last P&Q&C&A&T. We got a lot of nice comments and feedback. And honestly, I thought that we talked about the idea of what we would do after Injustice Gods Among Us was no longer supported.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we had, but it never seemed as immediate and as real to us as it has recently, with the way we've noticed how the forums have been and the comments and the traffic on our channel.
Yeah. And
so I guess to all the people who've commented, it seemed more real to them too. Mm-hmm. Because of the way we were talking about.
Yeah, so we've got some good fodder for that, and that's probably a decent chunk of what we'll be talking about in this episode here. But to start off, we have something Injustice related, as we frequently do. This one is a direct message, actually, from Reddit. This comes from Michigan Superfan 2. And they say, I would hate to see you guys go. Here's a question for you. Who is your favorite character to play, favorite gear, and favorite combo of character and gear? So, this is a nice little question. It's very subjective, and it's probably not that... It's not that hard to answer, because we sort of...
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, and my answer is, it used to be any of the flashes. When I first started playing this game, I loved the
Bronze
rhythm.
Flash.
Yeah, for sure. Because, I spent hours grinding Bonus Battle 1 with Bronze Flash to build up enough credits to get a discounted gold pack.
This was when we were sharing an account still, because we were on vacation and didn't have internet.
Yes.
So you couldn't download it on your device.
And I was so torn. I thought, I've saved up all these credits. Should I buy Silver Flash directly?
There's like 35,000 credits, and that's a lot.
That's a lot of credits.
That's a lot of credits.
I don't know if I can spend that. Actually, I don't even know is it 35,000?
I think it was 35,000 to buy directly in the store.
Okay, that's a lot, because the discount gold pack is 75.
Yeah, I believe it was 35.
It's been so long since we've actually been able to buy a copy, right?
That's true.
So there's something about the way he plays. He's fast. He's responsive. The way the first swipe gives you 2 punches, which I think nobody else does.
Yeah.
And he's just really quick, so here's my sort of bias.
Yeah.
I am awful, absolutely crappy with any kind of user interface in video games.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate, I'm a total button masher, so I really appreciate any kind of button mashing kind of characters. So in Street Fighter 2, when I started playing, I'd play Chun-Li, because she would have that special where if you did her kick really fast, you would do one of her special moves.
Oh, yeah.
And
She
so
was super fast.
yeah, and she was super fast. So, you know, Ken and Ryu, who are supposed to be the best balance between power and ability and speed and all that kind of stuff. You know, the same way Mario is in most of the...
Or Mitsurugi is in Soul Fighter.
Oh,
Soul
yeah,
Calibur.
yeah, Soul
Sorry,
Calibur,
not
right.
Soul Fighter.
Soul Fighter.
Street Fighter.
Yeah, so...
Street Calibur.
Yeah, so my favorite is still the Flashes, and specifically Elseworld Flash. And he was so much better before they nerfed him. So the one nerf that most people probably won't notice, I mean, he was the first Gold Flash. He had the lowest stats of any of the Gold Flashes. And he's, I mean, not really arguably, he's probably the worst Gold Flash as far as a character if you want to get pretty far, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Competitive, having competitive fight. But he had this great passive where he could interrupt a multi-hit special.
Yeah.
And now he no longer does. I don't know why they felt...
You loved bullet time so much.
I loved it. It was so cool because when you're doing bullet time and you do a... So bullet time is, if for people who don't have Elseworld Flash, bullet time is where when it triggers at, I think, 10% health, the other guy slows down and you go at regular speed. So that when you do a swipe combo and knock them down, even before they can get back up, you can start a new swipe combo and make them basically do the worm on the ground. They're dancing on the ground like the worm. And it triggers in the middle. So let's say Arkham Origins Deathstroke.
Yeah.
When he would do his unblock, he get hit 200%, he'd do his unblockable special.
There's so much joy in your eyes. I know the audience can't see it, but you're so...
So at one point, he was like the worst character face because the AI was getting 200% every time, and when you get 200%, it triggers not only unblockable, but it's crit on every hit, a special one. So if you're facing Arkham Origins Deathstroke in multiplayer, if he got a special one-off on you, you were dead.
Yeah.
Except if you're playing Elseworld Flash. And he would start shooting you, and then all of a sudden he would freeze. He would have that... He'd be looking in the air like he was stunned, and you would just come right up to him, do a bunch of swipe combos. You could usually get like 3 swipe combos and make him do the worm the whole time. And then at the end of it, you'd build up a bunch of power. But if you used your special during bullet time, you would lose your bullet time. So you just do a whole bunch, and then you'd have a special at the end of it. And if you gave him a special one healing gear like mutated bone spikes or a knife collection, you could do a special one right away and basically finish him off and build up a bit of your health back.
Yeah.
So
it's a great combo.
Yeah. What about you? So what was your favorite? What's your favorite and loadout?
Okay. See, we can answer based off the recent stuff, and I'm going to answer in the same way that you have with nostalgia, right? Because my first gold, who has a special place in my heart, not my favorite. Do you remember who
Black
it is?
Adam.
It's Black Adam. Yeah.
It's Regime Black Adam.
Black Adam. So he's
also the worst.
he's got a special place in my heart. He sucks really bad. Yeah, he's not.
But he's fast.
And his first special does sort of an obscene amount of damage for his stats.
Right.
So, you know, which is something that you only realize if you are forced to play him because he's your only gold, right?
Right.
Because normally you'd move on, but compared to his stats, his first special is like really...
Okay. So here's
down.
This is what's kind of funny about it. So Elseworld Flash they nerfed. Regime Black Adam
They buffed. Yeah.
So they improved his passive so it would do more reflected damage of specials.
Yeah. So they liked my guy better than yours.
No, they thought your guy was underpowered compared to mine, and they had to make mine worse. And he's already bad. Their stats are comparable, I think, in terms of attack and health.
He was already pretty awful. Yeah. So that first has a special place in my heart. And out of the early golds, I think my favorite one was Shazam. Just because when he first came out, it was such a hunt to get him, and his ability just seemed ridiculous. When
there was no Tanty Totem.
Yeah, back when using specials for cheap, right, or for free, felt like a really really big thing. He was so rare, and I remember using the refund glitch over and over and over again. Right, we would buy. How many did we buy? I think it was sets of
5, maybe
5 packs or something. I was the number that stood out to me was 8 for some reason. I don't remember why. I think we started 5 and then we slowly got
because it would take too long.
Yeah,
and when we didn't need that many copies, so it wasn't worth it spending so much time resetting the game.
Yeah, so that was a really sort of exciting character to get. And I don't know if that's my favorite. Obviously, my favorite gear loadout is Tanty Totem Master's Death Cart, right? And then whatever the third gear that you find most useful.
And it's funny, too, because now that Tanty Totem Master's Death Cart are around, we actually did a video with Shazam where we didn't take advantage of his super.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to anymore with Tanty Totem and Master's Death Cart.
Yeah, Tanty Totem and Master's Death Cart basically makes everybody Shazam.
Right, which is kind of sad. I mean, I guess it is a little sad that our favorite characters now have become so kind of obsolete.
Yeah.
But they still, like, it's just, every once in a while I still play Ultra Flash, and it is so much fun.
Yeah.
And then he gets knocked out by somebody's multi-hit special, and then I'm thinking, I feel like throwing the device across the room.
Yeah, and I have 2 more special mentions. I have 1 special mention and 1 in memoriam. So my other special mention is Ares. When he could just absolutely tear through a team. So these are, you know, our favorites, not just characters as in characters. These are our favorite characters at a specific point in time, right? So Ares, when he was hadn't been out for that long.
And what's killed Ares is the one real thing that's killed Ares is revives.
Yeah.
Because if you don't knock them out, you're not getting your power back.
Yeah. And then he sucks.
And then you got to tag him out.
And then Ares gets knocked out. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
So that's my last special mention. Right. In my in memoriam, do you have any guess for who the in memoriam is, for who could still be up there in my favorites now, but has been nerfed to?
I like Red Lantern Hal Jordan.
Red Lantern Hal Jordan.
Is it really?
It was Red Lantern Hal Jordan because he wasn't even incredible. He was just good.
He was great when he was you know, not nerfed but broken when he was broken.
He wasn't like game breaking though, because in defense, right?
Yeah.
You could just have somebody with good blocking and just block basically.
Right. Okay, so so I've got an idea for a team that would incorporate both Red Lantern Hal Jordan and Ares.
Oh, I think we need to do that team.
I think I think it would actually be a really good team, because Antimatter Sinestro this week was what inspired me to start thinking about, because Antimatter Sinestro was like that too, where he used to be really good when he first released, and then they made a change, not in him, but
the gear nerf, yeah.
And so the actual optimized loadout was no longer any good. And I was thinking, I feel the same way about Red Lantern Hal Jordan, is that he probably gets a bit of the short stick because he's used to be so great. Yeah. So no matter how good he is now, he feels awful.
Yeah, so much worse.
Yeah, but
so that was I'm glad that you got that. And then you also had a team.
I'm not okay. So
that's a good confluence.
No spoiler alerts. Maybe when we get a chance to do this video with Red Lantern Hal Jordan and Ares, and I think I'm going to make it winnable and also a good team. I've got a really cool strategy for Red Lantern Hal Jordan in mind.
Yeah.
For against the higher level teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's the teaser.
So there we go. And I think that's some information about our favorite people.
Yes.
Our next set of stuff, we're just going to sort of maybe read these out, and then whenever any of us has something to say, we can take a moment to stop and talk about them. These are just different things that people sent in sort of in response to, or seemingly in response to, us talking about figuring out stuff that we could branch out and do. So our first one comes from Waffles for Lunch, and they say, your voices are so soothing. Ever think about doing ASMR? And then at the bottom, no homo though. Okay,
so I know the point was about ASMR and liking our voices, and I got a few things to say about that, but I was just watching a video on censorship, and one of the things they were talking about is how it's not really censorship, but in terms of how media is available to people, that defines what's available and what's not available.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest sort of niches of publishing that was neglected for a long time until people realized that there was a market for it was slash fiction.
Mm.
And so that's when you say no homo. There's a lot of slash fiction that is, traditional publishers just wouldn't touch that. And somehow it's driven a whole, I don't know, like an industry of people writing fiction about characters in a book, usually men, having relationships.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. It was just right on top of my mind, because literally right before starting this, I was watching that while I was working out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So just, first off, I don't think we're going to be doing ASMR. I think I'd feel uncomfortable creating ASMR content.
All right, so what is ASMR? I sort of have an idea, but
it's like autosensory meridian response. It's the specific type of sounds that tend to generate tingles on the back of your neck is generally like the best way to describe it. So it's like
so like the opposite of nails across a chalkboard.
Yeah, so it might be somebody whispering in your ear, or the sound and like feeling when like you are like shaving your head, for example, like the
That's
razor
a good
buzzing.
Feeling? Really?
It's some people like it. I don't know.
I like the feel after I've shaved my head of running my hand over my head, because there's something about
that's definitely not ASMR.
In different directions.
It's meant to be it's auditory.
You know what I mean? You go one direction and it's resistance and it's stubbly, and the other way it's like really smooth, like velvet.
Yeah, and then there's like different like like soft crinkles and stuff like that.
Okay.
I feel like you really have to watch it. Like I don't watch ASMR, but I've heard bits and pieces enough that I sort of can put together what it's supposed to be, I think. So you'd also have to probably ask somebody who knows ASMR better to give you a better definition.
Sure.
That's just sort of like the layman's definition, I guess.
But it's funny where we've come from, right? Because I think, I mean, if anybody wants to go back, I mean, the videos are still
I don't know why you would.
Right, because the content is not the same. I mean, clearly we've gone in a much different direction lately than we did in the first, few dozens of videos that we did.
And we've talked about this before, but earlier in our pipeline, if you go back and you look at our old videos, we would not have been getting those comments. You might have been getting those comments because your voice has by and large stayed the same. But the time frame that we've been making videos, if you go to the earlier videos, my voice was significantly more squeaky in a way that's very hard to quantify and does not sound like it's the same person talking if you just jump from
some people recognize that you were a kid. Some people thought that you were a woman.
That's true. And some people just wanted to complain about my voice because they thought it sounded annoying. And going back now, I feel like I understand their position much better than I did as a child. I think as a child, I still hold that it was a mean thing to say to a kid.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But as somebody who no longer has that voice, I can empathize with them a little bit better.
But so here's the thing too. I don't know that I mean, you say my voice hasn't changed much, but
by and large,
back then the way we filmed stuff, we would film it live.
Oh yeah, our audio quality was horrific.
So, but my attention was also focused on playing the game.
And you were also lying down on like a beanbag.
This is true.
You were lying down on like a soft shell beanbag, and so your voice probably didn't project the same way either.
And I wasn't paying attention, so whatever I was saying, even though the tone might have been the same, it wasn't maybe nearly as coherent.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't as put together when you had to play at the same time.
Yeah, and try not to lose.
Yeah.
Right? Because, that always bugged me. I mean, I know that there are losses and it happens, but it bugs me to lose unnecessarily.
Well, the way that we were set up with the tripod, your legs were like underneath the tripod and my legs were like around the tripod, so both of us, if we shifted too much, would like kick the tripod. And I remember there's at least one video. I'm not going to spend the time to go back and find it because I don't want to watch any of our old content, never mind that much of it. But there's at least one video, and probably more than one video, where like our tripod got kicked at some point during it and then it was just off for the rest of the video.
That's true.
And there's probably some episodes where our tripod was focused poorly, and so like, you could see like the edge of our physical TV,
right?
And like, or it was like shifted too far down, so you lost the health bar.
Because
like,
it wasn't screen recording, it wasn't screen captured. This was, we would project it onto TV, play it on the TV, and then have a camera aimed at it, so you get that wicked moire pattern where whenever you're filming something that's actually a video screen, it would just mess it up a little bit.
Almost horrific. It was pretty horrific at every level, and it's incredible to think that was the time where we were getting, I think, probably the most views per video.
Oh, sure.
Which is awful to consider.
Well, and that's a reflection of what drives this channel, right? Like
that's true.
The most popular stuff has always been the glitch videos.
Yeah.
Which there haven't been as much of lately. And I mean, it's a combination of bigger audience, right? When there's a big audience and there's a glitch video at the same time, and it's early on, that was sort of the perfect storm.
Yeah. So there we go. Just to make sure we get back to the actual original thing, probably not ASMR, but it's cool that we can get comments that we should do ASMR now. I'm glad that I have graduated from annoying voice to, if anything, compliments about my voice.
Yeah.
That's a fun transition for me.
Yeah.
Our next set of comments, I think these are just some more general stuff, so we'll probably move through them pretty quickly. Just wanted to maybe give a little bit of a feature to them. Max Change says, I started watching you guys when I was only a boy. The end of an era.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, as we just talked about, I started making these when I was only a boy. It truly is the end of an era. It already was, I think, when my voice dropped.
Yeah.
We also have a couple comments from Master Ah, saying, something must be there for you to do, and also good to know that you're going to do other stuff. Again, I think not too much to say about these. We have one from Alexander Linde, who says, why not start making more fitness and exercise-based content? Your diehard audience would probably follow you, and you could absolutely reach a new audience.
Yeah, that's interesting, because maybe it's unusual, like the mix of playing Injustice and working out.
That's true.
But it doesn't actually mean that working out is that... I don't want to say that it's that useful. It's not useful for us only because when you look at what other people do for fitness videos, right?
Yeah.
Better productions, personalities, and there's a huge focus on the bodybuilding aspect as opposed to the functional strength training aspect. Because what have I always told you about what my point is of working out?
It's to be able to keep yourself with the ability to be like physically independent when you're very old for as long as possible.
Well, all right, but I don't usually say it in those words, right? I say
to
be able to get on and off the toilet by myself without getting help. No,
yeah, you're welcome. I edited you to make you sound better.
No, but so here's, what you see is, as we're seeing our relatives get older and having more trouble, what really sort of ends their ability to live independently, they can't live on their own, is when they need help using the toilet.
That's true.
And that really is, I don't want to say the kiss of death because it's not death, but it's the kiss of death of the end of, or it's kiss of death of independence.
Yeah. See, yours is much more practical. Mine, I think, was sounded nicer.
Yeah, and there's not probably a lot of room because here's the thing: I'm not particularly strong in the spectrum. I'm stronger than average, I think.
Yeah.
But in terms of the spectrum of the people who are willing to do fitness videos and put themselves out there, there's people who are way bigger, way stronger, way more muscular, and way more charismatic, and have more ideas about what to do.
Yeah, it's not a regular. It wouldn't be a regular content stream for us because you do pretty much the same stuff when you work out.
Yeah,
there's not a lot to go through.
That's really the joy of, and the typical success story of working out is being consistent and doing it regularly, and that's how you build strength that for most, like a normal person who doesn't work out, would find really that's what they find incredible, right? Like that stuff that even if when you do it yourself, if you've been working out for a while, stuff that when you started would have seemed unreachable, all of a sudden you're just doing regularly.
Yeah,
that comes from consistency.
Yeah, so it's not a bad idea. Workout content occasionally or semi-occasionally is what we've already been doing, right? And there's no reason that can't continue going forward potentially. Right, it's just that there's not a lot of content there. That's pretty drained well.
And you say we could probably not. I am getting a lot older.
That's true, and you've sort of done them.
I've sort of done what I can, and I think I might have actually reached my physical peak, and I'm into my decline. I'm like on the other side of the hill.
Oh no!
So we'll see. I've hurt myself recently, right? So I haven't gotten all the strength in my right hand back yet. Still, so we'll see.
There we go. Next comment comes from Ben. They say, "Don't you dare quit." And I think our only response to this would be, even if we stop making content on the regular, I don't think that means that we're going to definitely stop making content forever. Every once in a while an idea might pop into our heads the same way that it does now for something. Right. And, this will be where it goes up. This or, maybe our main channel. Or main channel.
Okay, so I've got ideas for 3 teams already, and I've got footage for all 3 teams.
Yeah,
and it'd be cool if we had a chance to make them.
I'm incredibly busy right now, so just a warning to the audience, that's not going to happen for at least the next week and a half.
Yeah, but the good thing is what used to happen when I'd have an idea for a team is that the game would change so much that in a week it would be obsolete because if they introduced new gears, it had an impact on how it played, or new characters that would affect who you would face. It would sort of change it, and you'd have to get it up immediately if it was going to be interesting to anybody at all.
Yeah.
So, but we've had some ideas. I've got some other ideas for videos. Like we talked about doing a Phantom Zone strategy video.
Yeah.
We never got around to, but we've posted an article about it on our Patreon page.
Mm-hmm.
You had an idea of something bigger to do.
Yeah, so I'm going to say this with no promises that this content actually ever fully forms, but I think out of the content that I would be interested in trying to make, the next thing I would want to do if I did anything would be based off of the stuff that I watch and enjoy, right? Because that's sort of what's always informed what we make on YouTube, is we make the kind of stuff that, theoretically we would maybe want to watch. And that stuff for me has always been video essays with interesting opinions on media.
Right.
And I, every once in a while, have some ideas rattling around in my brain for different stuff to make. So I sort of have 2 potential things that I think I might have enough to say about that could turn into a video essay. I'm not very confident in my ability to edit together a video essay, script writing, all that stuff, right? I feel like I really don't know what I'm doing in that field. But if I were to try something, right, if there's a weird project that would go up on this channel next, especially if we've stopped making Injustice videos, I think there's a decent chance that I would try to take a crack at some form of video essay.
I would watch that.
Yeah, that's, I sort of want to do things justice. I had an idea a while ago, for not, what was it called? I'm trying to think of the game where you can go back in time and you play as the girl named Max. Life is Strange.
Okay.
I was thinking of Stranger Things.
That was the other idea.
Because that's the other idea that I have maybe some stuff to say about. Yeah, no, but I had an idea for a video essay a while ago on Life is Strange that didn't really end up coming together just because I took a crack at a script and I didn't get it to a place where I thought it was good enough.
Right.
Where I felt like it was a good expression of the ideas that I had. And, footage for that was, like getting footage and all that stuff is not something that I'm used to for stuff.
So if our channel is any kind of evidence, then you should just do it. So when you start off, and even if you're not happy with it, I think the more practice you get doing it, the easier it'll get, and then you have a chance to really refine what you want to say and how you're going to say it. The problem always is that it means that the first idea that you do ends up getting wasted a little bit,
especially when it's such a large undertaking. Yeah, no, but so that's sort of, if we're being, maybe if we're taking bets on what the next thing is, I think there's a decent chance at some point in the future I'm going to want to crank out a video essay or two for this channel if I can manage that. So I think that's something maybe a little more concrete, and I have no clue when those are going to materialize or if that's going to pan out.
Would you do it like with your face on it, or would you be doing a voiceover of just like...
It would probably be a voiceover of clips in the style of different people. Like, there's a lot of people who do really solid editing, so when I look at the stuff that I'd want to do, I don't have the chops. People like Mark Brown for Game Maker's Toolkit does really interesting video essays on game design. You look at like every Frame of Painting or Crafting Kristen, just different people like that, right, are the sort of folding ideas, right? Folding ideas does show their face. And I think, honestly, depending on how things go moving forward, I wouldn't be entirely opposed to using video of me in video essays. It's just, it doesn't seem necessary with where we're at right now. All that stuff is sort of considerations that I think I have to do a lot more thinking about before I want to say anything that sounded anything like a commitment to anybody watching who would expect that, at some point in the future. But, I'm definitely thinking of stuff, right? Because I think the idea of us fully quitting, having a YouTube channel and making content for it has been an extremely satisfying and fulfilling process. And I think there's going to be some part of me that's always going to want to figure out a way that I can keep doing stuff like this going forward. So totally as a hobby, right?
So what's really interesting about what you said, it made me think of this, was that when you said quitting, and in my mind, I take for granted, and I think we both do, that may not be obvious to people who aren't regularly making YouTube videos, that the quitting part is actually consistency and regular output. Because to me, if we put out a video once every couple months, that would feel like quitting to me compared to, and even if we just still kept on putting out content, the fact that we're doing it regularly is a big part of what makes this particular YouTube channel successful, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, some people do only post content every couple months and they take a long time and they craft it, right? And it's interesting because I think quitting means something different when you're not doing it for a job.
Right.
Because... most people who take breaks from YouTube, I think very few people quit YouTube wholesale.
Like to shut down the channel. Like I don't think anybody would do that just because of the trailing ad revenue.
I know at least one channel that has like not shut down their channel, but like fully discontinued it and said I'm never returning, which is Your Favorite Martian, which was run by Roy William Johnson, and there's this whole thing with like the label that he signed to or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And like the channel name has been changed to This Project Has Been Discontinued.
So that's that would be an unusual. That's
an exception to the rule. And there's people who've stopped making content and gone dormant for years, and I think at that point stopped. But I don't think people tend to go into it ever with the idea of like, this is my last video ever, I'm never making anything else. Right, and I think a lot of people, even out of the people who do, often come back in some form with something at some point in the future. So yeah, I think might be a cold comfort depending, especially if people are consuming our content the way that I consume content generally, which is like, watching stuff all the way through, keeping up to date with it. It won't be like that, but I think no matter what going forward, there's probably going to be stuff on this at some point in the future, and it would just be when and how often, and if coming back means coming back or just posting a thing because I had a thought, right. But so that I think is the closest we're gonna get to a response to Don't You Dare Quit.
So we've got a list of questions and comments which were really nice. We won't read all of them, I think, because we're running out of time. But we'll maybe mention them, list some of the names in the description. But one thing I wanted to point out, inspired by Peter Razook, was Minecraft.
Okay.
And that was an idea because there's this game called Minecraft.
Let's just read the comment. We have time. Okay. So Peter Razook says, there's this game called Minecraft that has been around longer than Injustice and is still popular. There's this guy called PewDiePie. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's been hitting big stacks recently playing the game. And I think this is funny too because actually before we started this channel, as a very small child, I wanted to make Minecraft content with one of my friends.
Yes.
Who I'm still in touch with. I've actually been getting a little bit back into Minecraft recently. Time constraints means I haven't really been able to play it, but I've had like a little Minecraft Realm server up and I've been jumping in and out with some of my friends actually. So, we probably could make a Minecraft video. I don't know if we will.
I'd be up for that.
I don't know if we will. I don't think we have anything particularly valuable to add to the whole Minecraft renaissance that's going on right now, but
yeah, so, I mean, it's interesting because what people see when they say Minecraft is all the successful channels, because that's what they watch.
Yeah.
But they're missing out on are the dozens, hundreds of channels maybe, that are essentially peeing into the wind because they're not reaching an audience. No matter how good the content might be, they're just not reaching an audience because it's it's saturated. There's just so much there going on.
Yeah, there was a time where I pretty much, early on YouTube, with my early experiences when I first got into YouTube properly, watching it, I pretty much mostly watched Minecraft content, and tons of people I knew wanted to make Minecraft channels or had Minecraft channels with no views, and I wanted to make a Minecraft channel
with no views.
That would have gotten absolutely no views if I had ever released any of the content. Yeah, that's true, and I think it's interesting, especially for stuff like that when the market's really saturated. I feel like there's less a point than ever making content based on it. If you have a pre-existing audience who likes you for you, which is what, like PewDiePie and a lot of similar content creators have.
You've got to have a personality. Even if, either being the first there, so you get that recognition, or having a personality that draws people despite a whole lot of other competitors, something unique and distinctive, which most people don't have.
Because I would never find a new Minecraft YouTuber right now. I would watch people who I already like who play Minecraft. Right, who start playing Minecraft now, but I wouldn't watch anybody. I'm not looking to pick up somebody new because it's Minecraft content.
Right.
So there we go. Looks like we've run out of footage. So here at the end, we'd like to give a huge thank you to everybody who is continuing to support us on Patreon. So that's
a big thank you to Console Peasant, supporting us at the highest last word tier, John Auriemma at Your Message Here tier, Shawn, Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Mall, and Michael DeVries, who support us on the credited level, and Eddie G and Chris Wolf at the gratitude level.
Thanks so much, and thanks so much to all of you for watching and or listening. We'll see you next time. Komoda.